This episode is brought to you by Iams Pet Food. When you choose Iams dry dog or cat food, you can see a difference in your pet with your own eyes. Healthy energy in 5 days, healthy digestion in 10 days, and healthy skin and coat in just 25 days. Satisfaction for you and them. Guaranteed or your money back. Feed Iams dry dog or cat food and see a visible difference. Visit iams.com/difference to learn more.
Ampire.
Hey babies, hey babies, hey babies, hey babies. Happy Halloween, everybody. Happy Halloween. Hi, everyone. Happy Halloween, everybody.
I know that you like Halloween more than me, but I did not get the memo we were dressing up on the show. So didn't get the heads
I
up.
post this thing on YouTube, why not? Why not? It's Halloween. I love Halloween, as you can probably tell. I am Patrick Bateman today from American Psycho. This is my business card. That's right. We went on Etsy and ordered the business cards.
Pretty
So
good.
I've been ready to go. You know
Very
what
good
came
one.
with it? It was an extra. His Collins video card also came with the Patrick Bateman. So I want to thank that. We didn't even ask for that. It just came with it. There it is, signed on the back.
That's fantastic. That's
It's
a
pretty
very good. That's a very good touch.
It is a very good touch. So as we start today, I do want to know, do you like Huey Lewis in the news?
That's a yes.
Because I do.
Yeah.
I really like
Wow.
Huey Lewis in the
Wow.
news.
I didn't even know you had that on vinyl. You need it on cassette,
yeah.
though. You need it on cassette for the full costume. Now.
I do need it on cassette. You are right about that, but that's a hard one to get. That's a hard one to get. Because
fair.
their early work was a little too wave for my taste, but when sports came out in 1983, I think they really came into their own commercially and artistically.
Well done, sir. Did not think we would be opening the show this way today. That's a good one.
Which way did you think we were opening the show today?
I legitimately didn't know. I didn't know what was going to happen today because Thursdays usually are a little bit of a mixed bag. So yeah, with Halloween, I did not know you were going to go in that direction. Is what I'm saying.
Let you stare at Huey Lewis for the rest of the day. There you go. I guess I should stick to sports, huh? Is that what you guys want? Stick to sports?
I mean, good bit. I'm not going to deny that.
Yeah. Got the blood-soaked raincoat, blue suit, red tie, perfect lettering on my business cards. I'm ready to go scare some people tonight.
There you go.
My daughter went to see Terrifier 3 the other day, which it's like the one thing we don't have in common. I want nothing to do with movies like that. Like, there's nothing appealing about that at all to me.
You have to refresh my memory. Which one is Terrifier? Like, what is?
So I only know this because she had to tell me the backstory, and I wouldn't have known there were 3 of them. But let's see. Guy who dresses up like clown sees someone get murdered, likes it, and decides to start doing that. And I guess in this particular one, I guess in an earlier one, he does die. This is a demonic version of that came back and is now terrifying people. And from what I can tell, doesn't speak, just mimes what he's going to do to everybody.
The black and white clown, right? Correct.
I think so, yeah.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
I've seen clips. Not my thing. I'm good.
I'm
good
out.
On that one.
Yeah, I'm out on that one. That's the stuff of the devil. We're still speaking of the angels here because we're coming off the high, everybody, guys. We're coming off the high. And as predicted, actually, it was a goo goo gaga locker room yesterday. Jade Daniels, I thought the line of the day was, what was your last couple of days like? And he goes, I don't know. It's pretty normal for me. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, I appreciate that, but that doesn't happen ever. Like, that doesn't happen. Like, but then I'm sitting there going, hey, he did win the Heisman Trophy. Probably won a couple of games in college. They're wild, like the kind of, you wake up the next day and people are freaking out on you and saying it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in their life. So I don't know. Maybe he's got his head on straight about the whole thing. Maybe he does.
I was kind of thinking about this yesterday. Sunday was a Hail Mary. It was a last-second play. It was a walk-off play, but wasn't the actual better throw the Terry throw? I mean, I know they're ridiculous. They're both ridiculous, but when you actually think about it, like, he needed a bounce for that to happen, and it was kind of lucky, right? Whereas, like, the Bengals one was one of the greatest throws I've ever seen,
Yes.
and everyone was going crazy off of that one.
Yeah.
I don't know. Is he used to it already? Because that's how I kind of started thinking about it yesterday. One was an actual better throw. The other one, you needed a little bit of luck, and there was some runaround happened that the other team happened to screw up too.
I think the first one is just as important as this one.
I agree. No, yeah, agree.
I mean, I wanted to jump out of the box on that one too. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen. Just contextually all of it, where it was, what it meant, the play he made, like knew he was going to get socked when he did it. Perfect dime, balls up when Terry's at the 20. Like, it's really, I agree, that was the play. This one was chuck it up, pray for a miracle, you got it. Now, granted, like, it landed exactly where it needed to land, which is kind of ridiculous in its own right too. And they needed somebody not paying attention and yelling at the fans to get his hand in the way to make it happen. They set up perfectly on it too. So, like, they were ready for it to happen. But I agree, like, there's a lot of luck that has to go into it and a weird bounce that has to go into it. And the Terry play, to me, they've had 2 Hail Marys this year. That was crazy throw at Cincinnati. And that was the one where I went, oh, guys, we're at the beginning of something here. I don't know what we're looking at, but we're looking at something crazy. And apparently, whoever you believe in also thinks that, because, like, they blessed them again on Sunday. So I don't know what's next. I do know we're just kind of down for any kind of party. That's what it is now. And they talk about the football gods. They like us this year. So let's see what happens next.
No, absolutely. That's why I think they're just like, it's probably going to be easier to come off of this because they have done this, right? They went for a dagger against another team previously. So, they have gone through it this season alone.
I thought, like, Dan Quinn, the way he described it yesterday was, to be a good team, you have to go through the stuff, was the way that he put it, the stuff. And he was like, it could be anything. It could be off the field, on the field, and it could be this, which is the good stuff that you have to get over. You had a crazy thing happen. Everyone tells you you're wonderful. If you go to the gas station, people want to buy you ho-hos and Twinkies and anything they can give you just to say thank you. You can't go anywhere. Your phone is flooded with messages. Twitter loves you, loves you, loves you, loves you. I even went through this for 48 hours where I got so many messages from so many people, like, across the spectrum of life. It was, like, impossible to ignore. I went viral. Like there were 2 days there that were very, very, very different about all of this. So I don't know, if you go by how they're handling themselves, then it feels like the Cincinnati one. Maybe the Cincinnati one was the test run for it, because that was the one where I'm like, right after it, I'm like, I think a lot of people are going to change their minds about you and you're going to get a lot of attention. And that was the first thing out of his mouth was, don't go on the roller coaster. And it was a good prep for what this is, because that's the roller coaster times 10, because you just gave people a memory of a lifetime. Like, if you were a child that went to that, how are you never going to be a fan of anybody else after that? Like, how are you going to be a fan of anybody else after this? Like, you witnessed that. You saw that. This is incredible. So how do you go play the Giants? And I guess we'll find out. Find out this weekend.
Yeah, I also think it was like a little bit of a two-parter, right? They had that win against the Bengals. They didn't come back home, which I think was, good that week. But then they blew out the Cardinals and then returned home, then got all of the media, then got all of the attention from everybody. They kind of got it in 2 phases. This one was everything all at once, because you do remain at home after this one. So, yes, there was still a little bit of residual of it yesterday, but I'm not really worried about it. I mean, I think this team also, they take on what their leaders do, and Jaden and Dan Quinn have both already kind of started playing it down again. I think they'll be perfectly fine.
The Daniels one, he was like, it's not really new for me. I'm like, that's kind of true. Like, I guess that's because I guess, like, after, like, take that Florida game he played last year where he had like 1,000 yards of offense or some like singularly, maybe arguably the best performance any collegiate athlete's ever had in a football game. Like, the numbers are outrageous. I can only imagine, like, what was said to him or written to him or said about him the day after that. So, So I threw the ball down the field. The guy made a catch. I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's nothing new for me, pal. So, all right. Great. Like, incredible, like, life-changing moments are just week 8. I'm great. I'm all for that. I'm on board with that one. Let's go.
That's been one of the things that we've talked about, though, since he's gotten drafted, is that he's done nothing but ascend for the last 3 or 4 years, right?
Yes.
And so, like, I don't know. I feel like we just shouldn't be as shocked that we're seeing it. I'm shocked we're seeing it this fast, but I don't know. He's getting better every single week. It's exactly as we all predicted. I think that's the craziest thing. That's the craziest thing with Daniels is all of the good, positive things that we predicted with him are happening. And, like, I don't really know how to feel about that because usually it doesn't happen that way.
Like, if he wins a Super Bowl, they're going to be like, what are you going to do next? And he just goes, I don't know. Maybe I'll go to Disney World. That's what he's going to do?
Right.
Okay. It's fine.
Goes,
we're all cool about this. Cool.
He goes,
I think the best part of the whole thing is the whole area is in disbelief, or maybe not anymore, but at least for a month they were. They were like, what's going on here? And the whole time they're like, I don't know, man. This is normal for us. And we're like, it ain't normal for us, pal. Like, what are you talking about? Like, they've had to settle us down. They've had to be like, guys, we got this. I know that was really cool. That was really fun. I'm glad we were part of it too. Chill out. Like, we got all this. And the rest of us are going, we haven't seen that ever. We haven't seen a team like this in a generation, guys. Like, I'm sorry, but we're just a little nuts right now. The party's getting out of control for us, and they're trying to settle it down. They're settling it. It's supposed to be the opposite. We're the ones building them up too much. No, they're like, you guys need to chill out. We got this.
Here's how I know that they're back, by the way. I take the Metro into the station every day, and I had an old lady tap me on the shoulder because I was wearing a burgundy and gold Nats hat. Go, oh, the football team's really good, huh? And I was like, yeah, what do you know about that? Because I haven't had anyone ever unprompted ask me about the team in 15 years? Like, it's been a long time, and that's how I know that they're back.
Oh, yeah. Like, I've talked about this forever because you haven't experienced it. I'm like, you don't know what it's like when they're good around here. It changes everything. Like, and I mean, literally everything changes when they're good. And this is just one half of one season. But you watch, if this becomes a regular practice where they're good all the time, it's like, it overtakes everything in the city. It's hard to, like, I kept saying this to you. I'm like, it's hard to describe this until you're there, if it ever gets there again. But if it does, it changes everything in a way that, no offense to the other teams, can't do. Like, I don't know why. Like, I think the Capitals, for that period of time, I think that was eye-opening for all the people who thought they didn't have a large fan base. Like, what happened around the Stanley Cup run. Like, I always knew it was a much larger, robust fan base. And when they took over the city, it was like, I think it was really good for the Caps doubters to hear that it's not 15,000 people every single night and that it's a really robust group. And for those, for that run, it was awesome, like, to kind of share it. But, like, it doesn't take over the town the way day to day, week to week, this team does in the middle of a regular season. It just doesn't. It doesn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, the other side of this too is the people that casually will be like, oh yeah, like, they're really good now. And I have to kind of correct them of like, no. Like, they're not just really good. They have a generational talent that I've never seen in my lifetime. Don't downplay it. Like, I'm flipping on that side too, because I think people that haven't been following need to realize as well, like, get on board now, because you're going to enjoy the ride if you get on it at the beginning. Essentially, you're still not going to get the same feelings I'm getting, because I've been following them for far too long and when they've been terrible, but you can get on the bandwagon right now.
We need to protect him at all costs.
Yes. Yeah.
And I don't mean by on the field. Like, I've been pushing back to everybody who goes, he can't run so much or he can't do this. No, he needs to play. You need to just let him play. Don't you trust this guy yet? The coaches trust this guy. They let him run around when he had bad ribs. Like, they let him run around. So I trust his instincts on the field. Don't talk to me about that anymore. Everything off the field, we need to protect this guy. He's our guy. We need to protect this guy at all costs. He's a generational player. We need to protect him.
Well, I think this goes into last week when we really started getting into it, when I don't know. This fan base doesn't really show venom outside of the NFC East, I feel like. But then when we were getting it for those first 4 to 6 weeks from the Bears fans of like, oh, who have you guys played? Caleb's better.
Yeah.
This fan base was kind of like, whoa, whoa, whoa. What did we do to you guys? And then last week, it kind of came out from this fan base to that fan base of like, keep our you know what out of your mouth, because I'm just saying, like, we don't need to look at you guys and make fun of you guys or defend us to your quarterback. We have our guy. And so I think the fan base is starting to get a little like, organized as well when it comes to it.
Well, they chose Caleb Williams.
That's right.
We didn't choose Caleb Williams.
Right.
And I think the weird part is that I speak for everybody here. We don't dislike him. He's one of us. Like, go ahead. And I actually think he's going to end up being really good. But they're chatter. And after 3 quarters, the guy was 3 of 11 for 33 yards. Like, what are you looking at to validate this? At some point, he may be the best quarterback in the NFL. He's got incredible talent. But right now, I mean, sorry, not sorry. Our guy's way ahead of the curve. What do you end?
Right.
You chose the right guy for you. You chose the guy that there was no question that's who you should take. They're just salty because our guy looks so far ahead of the curve. And you want to go yell at your GM. If that's what you thought, if your GM thought that's what it was going to be, it would have been the right move to make.
That's right.
What are you yelling at us for?
Exactly right.
Insecurity. It was insecurity. We talked about this yesterday. The more I think about it, think about all those things that happened in that game. They were trying to win a certain way to prove a point. And it backfired. Hand the ball off to a tackle, change the play 8 million times in the first half. None of them worked. It was at some point, guys, let's just reel it back in here a minute. There's a few things we could do really well. I don't know, run swift. And nope, they had to win a certain way. Insecurity. It's all it was. It was total insecurity. And it's it's incredible that they lost that way, because if they were insecure going into it, how are they feeling now? I mean, it's tearing at the seams, right?
Well, that's the best part is these are the types of losses that aren't just losses. They make you question everything from your organization from the top down. So yeah, I love being on, the other end of it for once, going, not our problem. You guys screwed up enough that we came back.
And then in the meantime, we partied pretty hard for a couple days there, and we're back to work, baby. We are just back to work.
Yep.
So I love it. Let's see. Care about these things that much, but the football power index, and I don't know how they calculate it. I think it's 5 people in the stats department and probably someone who's I like them better than the others. Lists Washington as the 5th best team in the NFC, which feels about right. Record-wise, they're number 2, but feels about right. Here are the ones that are ranked ahead: Detroit, Philly, San Francisco, Green Bay. Detroit, best record in the NFC. And then they had one the other day. I couldn't believe this one. The win over Minnesota was their first ever in 50 years over a team that was undefeated with at least 5 wins. That hadn't happened in 50 years for them. I've been talking about this for weeks. I think they're the Super Bowl team in the NFC, short of a bunch of injuries. They're toying with people right now. Jared Goff had 85 yards passing and they had 52 points the other day. That's crazy. They were messing around with Dallas in a way that was a joke, the way they were messing around with them. So I have no issue with them being ahead, and I think they're the favorite to get to the Super Bowl. Philly, half game back 3 weeks ago, Nick Sirianni was being asked, why are you yelling at your own fans in the middle of a win? Then they turn around and win 2 games. They kill the Giants. They win Cincinnati going away. So we still chasing them? Is that fair? You think so?
I think so, because they changed what they were doing. They took the ball out of Hurts' hands a little bit more, put it into Barkley's hands. Barkley's been not only as advertised, but maybe even better than advertised with that team. I think they deserve it until these 2 teams go head to head. I think that's the way I land right now.
That Giants move is literally one of the stupidest, not thought out things I've ever heard of in my life. We talked about this for months. And then when Hard Knocks came out, it didn't make it, and it didn't make it sound like that Barkley was being unreasonable in the slightest bit. I can't believe he's on that team. And they shouldn't believe he's on that team. And I played Anita Marks yesterday, who was like, we've all just settled into it's just time to stop talking about this. And we just have to move on because it is what it is. They let their best player, a potential Hall of Famer, a definitive member of their Ring of Fame in the prime of his career go over, I don't even know how much money. And all he was saying all along was, I want to stay. It is almost unconscionably one of the worst decisions that any team has made. And now, if he wasn't with the Eagles right now, this season could feel even more different than it already does because he is the difference maker for them.
No, like this is franchise altering for the Eagles. If they were screwed up and the offense wasn't going well, Sirianni would be on the firm hot seat right now. But because they've been able to rely on him, they've been fine. And that's been able to kind of take the pressure off of Hurts here a little bit. So, yeah, no, it's a actual franchise altering move for both of them at this point.
I don't take issue with Green Bay being ranked ahead of Washington. They have the same record. Jordan Love's injury status will probably be the telling tale of something like that. Doesn't sound like it's anything serious again, but it's the second time now he's gotten injured this year. I came into it going, he's an ascending player. Like, he could be a top 5 quarterback. I think they have a very good roster. If he does do that, they're going to be really, really good. And I'm not surprised. So I don't take issue with them. The Niners at 4-4. Yeah. Recent history is they're a juggernaut. I haven't really seen that. I think they've survived. They also have survived more injuries than anybody else to be 500. I don't know that. I mean, are we at the point where we would rank them ahead, that we would rank ahead of them? I think that's a historic bias of, we know what they've been, but I wouldn't describe them as having been that good this year. And a lot of it has to, I hear you, a lot of it has to do with injuries.
I would say this, if McCaffrey was officially out for the year, I would disagree with it. But the fact that he is due to come back in a couple of weeks, I would say they get to hold that spot for right now. I'm with you. It's a little bit of bias of what they've done lately, but I think they do deserve it, especially because of all of the players that are on that team.
All right. If you are listening to the podcast or listening to the radio show, you'll hear our weekly visit with John Keim next, which I did mention to him. I forgot to tape with you last week. And then we had a Hail Mary first ever. Should I never tape with you again? Because I'm superstitious. So we'll talk about that. And if you are watching this on YouTube and seeing the Patrick Bateman show over here, we have other things to talk about next. Very much the show, ESPN 630, the Sports Capital.
Prep for Thanksgiving at Whole Foods Market. Save now on no antibiotics ever frozen whole turkey, just $1.49 a pound with Prime. Sales on brie and select seafood appetizers help get things started. For sides, go with wallet-happy favorites from 365 by Whole Foods Market. And finish with decadent desserts from the bakery. Or get your whole spread catered. Just order early. Get Thanksgiving ready at Whole Foods Market. Terms apply.
With Uber Reserve, good things come to those who plan ahead. Family vacay? Reserve your ride as soon as you book your flights. To all the planners, now you can reserve your Uber ride up to 90 days in advance. See Uber app for details.
Time for a weekly visit with ESPN's John Keim, host of the John Keim Report. My producer mentioned this, and I didn't even realize it until Friday, but I forgot to tape this with you a week ago. Do you realize that? Like, we didn't do one of these last week. I forgot.
Bram, I don't want to bring this up, but I spent about 5 hours in my office crying. But thank you for, no, I did. It hit Friday. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. I didn't talk to Bram this week.
Yeah.
And so, and they won. So I wasn't sure if you're going to talk to me this week either.
I'm a little, and the way they won, because I am a bit superstitious. 4 home games that are at a certain time. I go to the same place to eat in the morning. I do a lot of the same routines on game day. And there was part of me that goes, after that, I should probably never talk to you again.
Well, I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. So yeah. I think it's okay to talk to me this week.
All right. What do you want to do here? Dealer's choice. Do you want to live in the afterglow of it for another moment here, or do you want to just move on? What do you want to do?
I think this has been talked about a lot. I think it's hard to move on from that because what that to me kind of symbolizes about this team, and a Hail Mary is just, I mean, there's fortunate tips and bounces involved, right? But I think there's so many elements that go into that play that highlight where, to me, this team is at. And I think so, like, you can leapfrog off that to discuss where this team is going or what's going on here.
I mean, there's no way of getting around it's a once-in-a-lifetime moment.
Right.
For literally everybody. For me, for you, you've never covered anything like that. This coach has never had anything like that. The quarterback's a rookie. The receiver who catches it never had anything like that. Every player on the field, almost all of them never had anything like that. It's hard to, everybody in the building, go look at the reactions from literally everybody. It's hard to say this is just another win, because it's not.
No, it's not. I mean, you know, it was unique, and it's funny because, like, in the press box, somebody asked me, like, what was the reaction like in the press box? What were the noises like? I don't even remember.
Yeah.
Because my focus immediately went to, first of all, I started videotaping, like, fans in the stands in the field, but in the background, when I listened to it, I could hear.
Do you normally do that?
No, I have never done that.
Creep.
Yeah, but you, like, the reaction shots were really cool.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking about that, but then in the background, I'm listening to people going, "Oh my God, wow, oh my God," because you knew that you just saw something you never see, and the reaction to me was the coolest part. Watching the players react, it was like a celebratory bomb went off.
Yes.
And it became chaos immediately, and so that's a scene that I'll never forget. So, you know, but it also, like, to me, when you break down that play, it goes back to a quarterback who's got an injured rib, throws it 65 yards in the air on the final play when he can probably throw it. He even said one time in an interview he could throw about 70 yards. He does 65 in the air when he's hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and the way he kept his poise and all that, and then the structure of the play at the end and how they got into their right place and all that, it just, to me, symbolizes what's going on here to a degree. I mean, there is some luck involved in that, but I do think there's preparation, there's poise, there's other things that go into it as well.
I think the other part about all of it for me too was, I don't know how you felt that day, but, you know, we're so close to it and we're so around it constantly. I woke up Sunday morning and I just knew there was something special was going to happen in this game. I didn't know that, obviously, but, like, it had everything. Once I knew Jaden was going to play, we've got Jaden versus Callow. We've got two ascending teams. We've got two teams that are winning a lot, two teams that are playing better, two teams that seem to be tracking towards a newfound rivalry with one another. It felt like the makings of this. So it's not just a Hail Mary for the sake of a Hail Mary. It's a Hail Mary against them.
Correct.
In this moment, in this season. I'll never forget it.
Right, and I think so there's a couple things with that. If this had happened last year and they go to 3-5,
but a cool moment.
A cool moment, but it's not a.
I'll remember it forever. But oh, by the way, we went 4-13.
Correct, or maybe they would have gone 5-12.
Right.
So yes, so, like, there's that, and then it's who threw it. It's Jaden Daniels. That matters too. But when I knew he was playing, and even during the week, like, I know if he plays, he's going to do something special. That's what he does, you know. And I think, like, you just knew that guys like Jaden Daniels are different, and they do different things in those moments. And so I felt pretty confident that he was going to have a big game or have some special moment. Now, clearly, you're not going to predict, like, geez, I think he might throw a Hail Mary completion at the end of the game. Like, but I thought he'd have some big-time moments because that's just who he is.
So you asked Dan Quinn today, how do you get over this? Because this is different. Like, this is a new team. So after the Cincinnati game, which was a really big moment, had a Hail Mary-ish play. It was a crazy play that they scored on. It's on Monday Night Football. Everybody sees it. It's a coming out party. Now everybody's talking about them. They turned around and they played their best game of the season to beat Arizona. When they had their first big loss, they turned around and played a great game against a weaker team, but they did. They still won 40-7 with their backup quarterback mainly. This is a new, and I think it's a big ask. And I think, what did Quinn say? He said, if you were to be a good team, you have to handle the stuff.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff. It's all good and everything, but he's right. Because this one, there's so much attention, and even he had to acknowledge on Monday, we do need to smell the roses a little bit here.
Well, and there's a part, and when we did the live stream show for the podcast the other night, somebody asked about, like, was Pittsburgh a measuring stick game? And both of us basically this is the measuring stick game because it tells you a lot about your team. Like, yes, the Giants are 2-6. You cannot assume, hey, 6-2 are going to go up there and roll because, first of all, there's too much history where it doesn't go like that. But secondly, the Giants played them well in the first game and could have easily won that game. Didn't, but they were certainly in position to do it, right? So you have that. Then I also think the other thing that helps here tremendously is Bobby Wagner, Zach Ertz, Jaden Daniels. Like, the two are veteran leaders. They've been on great teams. They know what it takes to get to the Super Bowl and win it. Jaden Daniels is a guy who does not live anywhere but in the moment. So the moment is preparing today for the next game. So I think it's a mature team in that regard because you brought up the examples of other times where I think you wonder how are they going to respond to this, and they've always responded well.
The big concern for me is that there's a couple things the Giants do well, not a lot, but there's a couple things, and one of them is they have more sacks than anybody in the NFL. I know Kayvon Thibodeau's not playing again, but they do. They don't bring the pressure like they used to under Wake Martindale. It's a new defense, but they're getting there with top-tier players, and their defensive tackles outstanding. Tyler Biadasz has a protective device on his thumb. 2 tackles were eventually out. We don't know if Cornelius Lucas is going to be available to them. Andrew Wiley went out for a play or two. That's the danger here with Daniels, who looks fine with his rib injury, but they're going to manage it. And an offensive line that's starting to take some dings against a team. It's one thing they can do well is get to the quarterback.
Right, because they have Burns. They have also Ojulari, has had a nice. I think he's got like 6 sacks or something like that. So he's had to really start replacing Thibodeau. I think where they're vulnerable, Bram, is in the run game for sure. Like, I think they can have success there, but because they're going to need to. You can't put Daniels in a position where it's a lot of 3rd and longs, and I think that's when you get those guys teeing off. But they sent a little bit more pressure that first game than I anticipated too, because like you said, they don't have crazy Wink Martindale sending blitzes from all over the place. But
you got to remember, this was week 1. Tampa Bay blitzes a lot. Daniels ran immediately. First game ever. Runs, vacates the pocket immediately. Burned them a little bit. But I think the Giants looked at that. These are different teams now.
Sure.
They're probably viewing Daniels very differently.
Oh, sure. But my point is, I don't expect a lot of that because it would go against character, but it wouldn't shock me. The other thing in that first game, if you remember, they spent a lot of the early game quick throw, smokes, bubbles, the screens, and then a lot of the quick game. So, they tried to offset that pass rush. Play action, you're going to have to do that. You're going to have to chip the heck out of those defensive ends for sure, which they've done a lot of already this year. But I do think the run game is what you can lean on for sure this week. That's what they're going to have to make their bread and butter.
I think they are going to have to do that as well. So defensively, the stat that really got me, and the Giants, obviously Malik Neighbors had a huge game against them. He was targeted 18 times. He had 10 catches, 127 yards, whatever it was. Since week 3, they went from 31st in the league in pass defense to 7th. That is dramatic. And I'll hear out a little bit of, well, that was Deshaun, and look where they are right now. And yeah, that was Carolina, and kind of look where they're. But actually, Dalton's numbers weren't bad coming into it. Yeah, that's Kyler. Well, his numbers actually aren't bad. They're not hitting juggernaut offenses. I'll hear that part out of it. But that is a dramatic improvement.
It is. And listen, most teams that are at the top there are doing it against quarterbacks like that. So, like the Bears had a top defense too, and they had played a lot of those
Carolina,
kind of quarterbacks.
Jacksonville's not really.
Right. So, so you build your numbers on that. And but the bottom line is they are improving. And I think the blip was the Baltimore game, but that's a different offense, but also there were too many communication breakdowns. They haven't had those since that game. Certainly not to that degree. And I think that's made a difference. When they gave up plays the other day, it was mostly off you bite on a double move. You lose a guy, you lose this route here. But it's not on I feel like the communication has been better since that Ravens game. I think that makes a big difference. And also, you start to see the D-line is getting after the quarterback a little bit better. I think that Caleb Williams, one of the things they did really well in that game, Bram, is they took his first read away a lot.
Yes.
A lot. And so you'd see him quickly, and then that allows the rush to pressure him. They only had a couple sacks.
I will give him credit. He didn't throw the ball dangerously anywhere. It was actually, if you want to take a nice sign away from him, because I described him coming into the game going, he looks way more like a rookie than Jaden does. And I think by comparison, I think that's where people in Chicago are, a bit of what's going on here. But I said this last week, and I feel the same way after this last game, even though his numbers were not very good. I think he's going to be really good.
Yeah,
and actually, if you want to look at some signs of that, he they were on what they were doing, and he didn't fall for it or didn't throw the ball in bad spots. He did some bad plays. He did some mini Mahomesy things that got them in trouble, and hopefully he'll learn from that. But he didn't turn the ball over against them.
I liked Jaden, to me, was a better quarterback, and is at this point right now, and he may stay that way. Like, I fully believe in how good Jaden Daniels is. But with Caleb, like, first of all, he got out of stuff and he prolonged the play, kept his eyes down the field, thought he did a good job there. And late in the game, he started making some plays because he got comfortable. So but they did cause some issues with that. So when you talk about like what's better, I think that's something that was better. And you can do that against teams. Like if teams aren't going to go a lot of no huddle and up tempo, you can do more of that. And so if the Giants aren't doing that, now Daniel Jones has been around a little bit longer, but so it's a little bit different. But that offense stinks. I mean, I think they're averaging less than 15 points a game. So I mean, and their line is a mess too. So
their O-line's a mess with Andrew Thomas out. Yeah. I was talking to one of my friends in New York, and they're like, that injury's a big deal. And I'm like, I agree with you. It is a really big deal. He's a terrific player. But I'm like, they spent a lot of money on their offensive line. They brought in 3 free agents. They spent top-tier dollars to bring in people there. Evan Neal's a top 10 pick. He doesn't even play for them. I mean, I'll hear you on a left tackle going out's a big deal. I agree with you. But the fact that they've completely collapsed since then, that's a little unexplainable. Honestly, It's not like they're playing undrafted free agents at the other positions. They spent a lot of money on that line.
I think this is where when people say, you got to invest in the O-line first.
They did,
and you need a quarterback, period. So, but the other part of that too, Bram, is, Bobby Johnson, who was their O-line coach previous 2 years, who's now here, and he gets fired after last year, and he gets hired here, and, the early narrative was, not a great line coach. What are they, that was the one hire by Dan Quinn. I didn't understand. Well, guess what? He's been pretty good here, and that place is still a mess. So perhaps it was more the organization and not the coach. And so, what was telling to me and all that was that Brian Dable gave Dan Quinn a strong recommendation for him. He told me there was something else going on there, but they did invest. It doesn't work, and, they still need a quarterback to play at a certain level.
On the O-line, I want to stay on that for a moment. So the dinged up players are something that I'm thinking about and concerned about this weekend. Let's see who plays left tackle this week, because Cornelius Lucas, as of us taping here, isn't practicing yet off an ankle injury. So we'll have to see what happens with him. The other one is, and this has happened numerous times, like this offense has been terrific, but they're getting caught downfield. The timing is a bit off. They're getting these downfield penalty calls. 2 of them brought back. One was a touchdown and another was a play that would have been first and goal. It happened earlier in this season against Tampa as well. There was a huge play in that opener. That might have changed the outcome a little bit had they not called that back, replay assist. And then in the third quarter the other day, if you want to parse out issues that you had, they had problems with substitution patterns, getting the people out there where they needed to be. So, listen, this is all going really well, and clearly they're blessed from above with what happened the other day. But there's stuff to work on, and there are concerns coming in this weekend.
Oh, for sure. And, the red zone is a big issue. Well, it was last week, and it was against the Giants the first time. And you have to look hard at what is going on there. And why does a 1 5-yard penalty pretty much destroy a drive for them in there? And that's happened too many times. And the Zacchaeus touchdown, that's just on a line. That's caused me have to understand, your awareness. And he's a really good player.
And the toughest part of that one is that play was so far away from where he was. There was kind of no reason for him to be where he was.
No, and and he looks like he's going out to the linebacker, I think, and he was a yard too far downfield. And you've just got to have better awareness, because that that play could have cost them the game.
It could have. Yeah, very easily. Yeah. It very easily. The other one with Allegretti could have cost them as well. The timing's a bit off. It's funny. It also shows the athleticism of their interior offensive line, because those are quick developing plays and they're downfield.
Yeah, no, for sure. And, that's one of the strengths of the line is some of that. I think they do a good job in space, but you gotta eliminate those. And, again, the first game was all about the penalties.
So all right. So, are you on Team of Destiny? You buying in? This is something, and it's hard to quantify it or know, and I guess the end result will tell us. But man, the amount of good things that keep happening here are stacking up big time.
I have removed any limitations from this team for that reason, because sometimes just like, I can explain a lot what's going on here. I don't know that I can explain all, but then sometimes it's like, it's quite logical. It's just a better coached team, and you brought in good players, and you got a quarterback right. That makes a difference. So because of Jaden Daniels, I'm not going to put any limitations on what they can do, because you get to we're still 9 games from the postseason. We don't know what's going to happen, but they're trending clearly in the right direction. You get to the postseason, what team is going to want to play them? Who wants to play these guys?
At this juncture, nobody.
At this juncture,
nobody.
Detroit would feel good, right? Because they're really good. But still, you don't want to play number 5, because he just does different things, and they do it along with him. And the defense is getting better. They have holes. We know they have holes at corner or whatever, but they're getting better, and they're playing more sound, a little bit more disciplined, and that makes a difference.
All right, John. Thanks as always.
Thanks, Brandon.
So, you want to be a marketer. It's easy. You just have to score a ton of leads and figure out a way to turn them all into customers. Plus, manage a dozen channels, write 1 million blogs, and launch 100 campaigns all at once. When that's done, simply make your socials go viral and bring in record profits. No sweat. Okay, fine. It's a lot of sweat. But with HubSpot's AI-powered marketing tools, launching benchmark-breaking campaigns is easier than ever. Get started at HubSpot.com/marketers.
Time to move? Skip the hassles of selling during the holiday season and sell your home directly to Opendoor. Request an all-cash offer in minutes, close, and get paid in days. You can even pick your close date so you can move after New Year's. Start your move at Opendoor.com or download the Opendoor app. Opendoor is represented by Opendoor Brokerage Inc., license 02061130 in California, and Opendoor Brokerage LLC in its other markets. Terms and conditions apply.
All right, welcome back. The Dodgers win the World Series last night. The Yankees implode in glorious fashion. It felt deserved after those ding-dongs grabbed Mookie Betts' glove, and that the Yankees had to be told by Major League Baseball, no, you can't have them come back for the game tonight. That Major League Baseball had to slap the team on the wrist to explain to them that that's ridiculous, that you would let these guys back into the building after they did that. I'll hear out their local heroes. They can be local heroes from their couch. That was ridiculous. And then, boy, last night, if you're a Yankee hater, this one goes down as an all-timer. That was an implosion of all implosions.
I couldn't quite understand. Jesse Rogers reported that the Yankees were on the same page as the MLB on banning those fans. And I'm like, well, why did it take the MLB nudging them to do that? So I don't quite follow that one. And yeah, we talked about this yesterday. Banning them for life, probably no. They can't come back in the next game, though. And so I'm glad that they did make that decision because they shouldn't have been able to. As far as the Yankees imploding, this is step one in this plan to get Soto back, baby. You needed them to implode so he doesn't become a Yankees legend, and there's a chance that he could come back here because now he's not a champion with the Yankees. So the fact they did it that way, and New York sports radio is going to be yelling and screaming about the implosion from here on out, yeah, I'm all right with this. This was a good one for me.
So there's a serious question needs to be asked here because they're made of money. Are they really going to have 3 contracts like that on the same team? Because they already got 2 of them, and this one will be bigger than the other 2. So they already have Stanton and Judge. They just signed Judge. He's making whatever it is a year. They have Cole. So this is really this would be a 4th massive contract. My gut tells me that if they can't move Stanton, and honestly, who's going to take that contract from them? Soto said he's open to all teams. You want to know why? Because I bet the message got back that they don't have an unlimited amount of money. And I think it's possible. They'll never say this or admit this, but I actually think it's possible they can't afford them because of what's on their roster right now. And that's not a slight at them. It's they have massive contracts like this. They're going to put another humongous one on it? I don't know. So I don't know that he's coming back here because, like, we can all dream that happening, but do you think our ownership is going to pay the price with the going rate to get him? Do you really think they're going to do that? Because I don't.
It depends on the teams not named the Yankees. We're starting to hear the Phillies want to be involved. Shocker that they want to be involved, but I don't think
that's
the
another
Phillies...
one. Massive contracts. Like, that's hard to believe that they would be able to add another contract like that.
I agree. And they can say they want to be in it all they want, but this is what it's going to come down to. It's going to come down to both New York teams. What do the Yankees offer him? What do the Mets offer him? Because I think Cohen actually can be the one to go, what do you want? Because I can afford it. And he can pretty much do the eBay bidding. He can keep upping the money because he's been willing to spend. And that was always the joke about the Mets going as far as they did in the NL side of things this year, is everyone's going, oh, the scrappy Mets. They had like a $400 million payroll or something like that. Like, because they had spent so much before. It wasn't like they were a bunch of nobodies. Cohen will spend. So I think it depends what the Yankees and the Mets want to do. And look, the Lerners aren't paying anybody. So you can tell me that, oh, do they want to give out that contract? Well, they're not paying anyone else. They bring back a former champion. I'm just saying, I don't think the percent is zero for him to be in a Nationals uniform.
I don't think it's zero, but I don't think our ownership wants to pay that for anybody. So until proven wrong, and I wouldn't, if I were them and they weren't going to do it, I wouldn't even whisper a hint that they're interested in it, because then you get people's hopes up. And I don't know. Like, they stopped spending money a few years ago. They just stopped. And now you're going to tell them 600 million or what, 700, but I don't even know what the number is. Like, whatever the number is, I don't think so. What would Theodore do in this situation? If I owned the Nationals, I would have Juan Soto here.
Well, he would have never gotten traded. So that means the rebuild wouldn't have started either. And they would have been middling, most likely. So I'm just,
they're middling now. We'll see. We'll see.
With some hope. There's some hope dashed in there, at least.
Meantime, Theodore's team plays tonight. The Halloween special against Montreal. I actually got offered tickets, but I'm going to do the trick-or-treat thing because it would be fun to go in the game in this. But, like, I got to do the trick-or-treat thing tonight. What do you got tonight? Caps, Habs.
Habs coming off a terrible loss. They lost 8-2 to Seattle on Tuesday night in Montreal. I don't like that because a team's going to be angry and buttoned up against the Caps. But Caps good juju, I think, just keeps going here tonight. They played pretty well the other night against the Rangers. They're a better team than Montreal. Give me like a 4-1, 4-2 type victory tonight.
Pretty good against the Rangers. That was dominant, really, against the Rangers. That score could have been ugly. They could have scored 8 goals the other night. That was awesome the way they played. So we'll see what we get tonight. I'm excited about. Hard not to be excited about what they put together there. It's looking pretty good here early, with the exception of they don't have top 10, or top 10 is the wrong word. They don't have top tier goaltending. Achilles heel.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. All right, everybody. Happy Halloween. Happy Halloween, everybody. And I will see you all tomorrow. Brad Watson Show, ESPN 630 Sports Capital.